Oh, Ubisoft! I want to be like you. I want to walk like you, talk like you. So greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, I casually mentioned Ubisoft, their shares falling. Well, actually, thanks to that part place, they went into a very good in-depth article about why that is happening. Smash JT made a great video about why he thinks it's going, and also I've actually said similar things on past videos, but I'm going to reiterate some of those today. And at the end of this video today, folks, stick around because I will be paying tribute to one of the Hollywood greats of all time, Mr. James Earl Jones. So here we go. Ubisoft, or should I say Ubislop prices drop 7% as company faces pressure from investors to take company private, and Star Wars Outlaw sales are soft. What a huge surprise. And there's that monstrosity. This was one of the carefully curated screenshots of KVez that Tessa Core from The Gamer talked about yesterday. Her weak and feeble defense was, well, you've got this lovely shot here of a high cheekbones and a rounded chin, so the rest of the game does not look like this, but which quite clearly it did not. It looked even far worse. So Ubisoft, the company behind Star Wars Outlaws, X-Defiant, you know, the Halo killer, Assassin's Creed, Shadows, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six saw their price stock drop 7% in a single day as it faces pressure from investors to take the company or to make it private, as well as reports of soft sales for Star Wars Outlaws. Is this what gamers are actually coughing up their money for? Remember when Ubisoft actually had a super deluxe edition, or get early access, pay this amount of money and enjoy the game with all the bugs included? The stock price has fallen to a low of 13.67 euros. Specifically, it fell over 7% in the past day. According to Yahoo Finance, the stock price has declined over 16% in the past 5 days. It's down over 41% in the last 3 months and nearly 30% in the last 6 months. Now, I'm not a business analyst, but even I, a simpleton with a bandana who read that specific paragraph, even I can see the writing on the wall. I mean, it's not a good look for Ubisoft. I think it's a bit too late in the day for them to be declaring, oh, we're going to be more diverse, more inclusive, more this, more that. I mean, the more they smell their fart to Ubisoft, the more they believe this narrative is absolutely true. Now, Yves Guillemot, the man I talked about yesterday, a person I completely despise in the world of gaming. I mean, I might put him up there with Strauss Zelnick and maybe Andrew Wilson as well. Actually, I might give Andrew Wilson, I might let him off a little bit because he seems to keep out of scandal and everything else, despite the fact, though, again, he could look after the team of EA a lot better. And I'll get so many studios like Visceral Games cancelled who are working on a Star Wars game, funny enough. But I do find it's absolutely, well, I like to say the word hilarious a lot in my videos, but what else am I going to say in this instance? Do I feel sorry for Ubisoft? No, I don't. They absolutely deserve this kick in their nuts. They should have gotten a new CEO, I would argue, maybe 10 years ago. Now, that might have turned things around in the company. DEI, all that nonsense, ESG might have been in the wings somewhere. But who knows? It's all conspiratorial, isn't it, folks? And I really cannot stand that. But back to this article here again. So here's a bit more of an in-depth look. So, well, that will spell out everything you need to know. So from 2020, look at the way this plummets down to the current time that we're in. The most recent stock drop comes in the woke of Star Wars Outlaws, reportedly having soft sales, as well as Slovakian investment firm AJ Investments urging the company to go private. First, it was reported that Star Wars Outlaw sales were performing much worse than Star Wars Jedi Survivor in the UK. Games industry head Christopher Dring detailed that Star Wars Outlaws launch sales are 55% lower than that of Star Wars Jedi Survivor did, which is pretty telling. And so, look, I've not played Star Wars Jedi Survivor yet, but honestly, I mean, strong word of mouth. People like Star Wars Theory live streaming it obviously boosted the popularity of that game. It was 15% bigger than Ubisoft's massive last game, Avatar Frontiers or Pandora, which actually did meet a lot of mixed reviews from people. Again, an Avatar game. Were we excited for that? I wasn't, definitely not. But you know what? Oh my goodness gracious me. Yeah, you know what? You should just use that photograph right there, that screenshot of KVez, and yeah, that's gonna be your death knell, Ubisoft. This and that god awful Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out. I mean, you even had esteemed Japanese scholars just shouting out from the rooftop saying you could have had a very good Assassin's Creed game in feudal Japan. We were asking for this many years ago, but why the hesitation, Ubisoft? Why did you hold back? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But of course, it's all DEI, it's all ESG. We've got to make Yasuke the lead black protagonist. He was never proven he was actually a samurai, but for some reason, people like Tom Loxley, who's been championed by IGN, but called out by others, which is hilarious actually. It's a major backfire. When that gets released in November the 15th to be precise, I think the sales of that, Assassin's Creed Shadows, will be infinitely worse than Star Wars Outlaws.
And I know that that's a legitimate question to ask. And it is a legitimate question to ask. So
what are Ubisoft doing at the moment, you may ask? Well, they are currently working on a Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow remake, which is interesting. It's going to be for a modern audience, by the way, folks. So I wonder what they're actually going to change about that. I've got the original on the OG Xbox, so it's great to actually have that in my collection. But I think they may pull the brakes on that one. I don't think they're actually going to carry on making that game, because what Ubisoft needs to do is to go back to classics. I mean, in fact, they're even remaking Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Why would you do that? It's already a great game, but I'll tell you why. Anne Bonny's too sexy in that game. They're going to make her so ugly in the next one, and they'll probably make her black at this stage. Nothing would ever surprise me anymore. It's very interesting that games companies used to be really good. You used to look up to them and think, oh man, they're giving the fans what they want. Now they absolutely hate you. It seems like video game companies and video game journalists are in cahoots with each other to turn everything against the fans who pay to keep their platforms alive, right? So when I see this news, I have no faith for a brand new Splinter Cell game. You could easily get that. But of course, folks, I have to end this video today on a slight downer, but looking back at the career of one of Hollywood's greatest all-time actors, James Earl Jones. Sadly, he passed away at the age of 93. And as per usual on his channel, I have to do my own look back at the man, the great man, and his absolutely fantastic career. So as I often like to brag on my channel, I saw Star Wars in the cinema in 1977. I mean, it was a profound experience for me, an excited little man who, for the summary price of 50 pence, paid for by his parents to go with his school friends. It's a special school trip at the time. It was either to the Granada or to the Odeon Cinema in Clapham Junction, London, to watch this film called Star Wars. I was excited about it because I'd seen adverts on TV and I immediately fell in love with R2-D2. And then, of course, I saw Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, and that was a whole new ball game that started to rise between my legs. Anyway, let's get back to the actual experience. Again, who's missing from this? Darth Vader. But man, if you don't know the story as well, Darth Vader was played by British strongman Dave Prowse, who was from Bristol. But when he spoke the dialogue of Vader, didn't really go down well with George Lucas. So who did he hire instead to do the ADR? Of course, James Earl Jones. And I think it was a great move. A legend was born. And when you look at the top biggest baddie of all time on the movies, Darth Vader seems to come number one ahead of Hans Gruber, played by the late great Alan Rickman.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
Anyway, folks, let's go on over to IMDb, who did a rather fantastic tribute to the great man himself. Let's have a watch.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Fight! Look at my turn to be champion of the world. I'm taking my turn. This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. We used to crowd the plate so that strike zone almost disappeared.
The king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
Your only job was to look after the king. How could you let him come to such a pass? You have a son.
You have come to me, my son.
Yes.
I am the wellspring from which you flow.
He gave you word to the people
Admiral Greer.
of the United States.
Give yourself to the dark side. We are the United States government. We don't do that sort of thing. That torpedo is not self-destruct. You heard it hit the hull, and I was never here. I go ton for ton, Norton Coleman, any man here. When I do, I expect the same dollar for the same work. No majority ever gave a minority a fair share.
Oh, wow.
You must have learned a great deal more than you thought before as serious as Watson. It was back to the income and the outcome and the deducting, and you tried me to trick.
You don't know nothing, baby.
Major Kong, is it possible this is some kind of
Holy
wild
shit, no way.
I told you what happened to your father. I am your father.
Wow. Good job there, IMDb. Absolutely fantastic job. Holy shit. It's like walking down memory lane. Like, there are some films there I didn't even know he was part of. Incredible. Oh my, that baritone voice he had, like, oh, he could make any film. He will just lift up the movie with his vocal presence. The man was amazing. I don't think he ever did cameo, because if he did, he would actually, he would be the number one person people would go to for voiceovers. It's absolutely incredible. This is an interesting article. So James Earl Jones, and this is an article from Forbes, signed over rights for AI to recreate Darth Vader's voice. I think that's amazing, actually. I think that's a very clever move, because it means that his legacy will live on forever, which is pretty amazing, actually. And that was updated on the 9th of September. So just to make sure that the voice will live on. I think that's really, really good he's done that. So the representatives of Jones confirmed with Deadline that the legendary actor who died on Monday at his Dutchess County, New York home has actually given permission for AI to use his voice, which is amazing, actually. I think that's really, really good. Jones's live action credits include the films we just saw on the reel for IMDb. But again, there you go. George Lucas, the man that launched James Earl Jones to play the role of Darth Vader for, I think it was, what, 5 decades? I think I'm right in saying that. It's just insane when you think, oh my God, he's been playing the role that long. But it's just a really, you know what? The man lived till 93. I've got something to say about this quickly as well. Recently, my mum, she turned 85, and there's this question about, do you want to live beyond that? Do you become a burden to society? Is it a big deal to live into your 90s, maybe your hundreds? I think, when people like Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and died at the age of 27, then James Dean, the other person I'm thinking of, they probably saw what was going to lie ahead, and maybe they don't want to get old. Maybe they want to be remembered as the youthful person that people idolized. And I think, when you get to a certain age, it's up to you whether you want to take statins to give yourself a bit longer to live, or you choose to die and enjoy the things that you don't want to give up. I mean, like sugary foods, certain other things like vices that you have in your life. So for me personally, I don't know. If I get to that age, I'll decide whether I think I want to live that long. But James Earl Jones, he certainly had that amazing baritone voice that people remember him for. I mean, for me, he's always going to be the granddaddy of them all, Darth Vader. You can't beat that role. It's just an amazing character design. The way he inhibited that role, he didn't mind people mocking the character or doing funny spoofs of him. I mean, that's what it's all about. When you play and you have a certain role, you are going to be mimicked or impersonated. And I think in honor of Mr. James Earl Jones, I will be watching this today for sure, because this will bring back some amazing memories for me actually. And it's lovely to see the tributes out there for him. He was just an amazing actor. I only found that last night actually from a WhatsApp message from a friend of mine, so I was kind of shocked. I think when you look at someone like Mr. Jones, you actually think he's going to live forever and ever. I thought this guy could have gone past 100, but again, kudos to him for allowing AI to carry on with his vocal talents for future Star Wars projects. Hopefully, future Star Wars projects that don't involve Kathleen Kennedy. So on that one, ladies and gentlemen, give me your thoughts and opinions below regarding Ubisoft and their falling stock, which is hilarious. And also, what's your favorite James Earl Jones movie? I mean, for me, Field of Dreams, where he plays Terrence Mann, is certainly up there. Sandlot Kids, of course, Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford, who I'm sure he obviously acted with in Star Wars, or maybe had a banter with in between shoots on those earlier George Lucas films. But yeah, the man is fantastic. And I hope one day I'll get to sit down and watch some of his earlier movies too. Like, I'm only accustomed to seeing him in one way, but I've never seen like a younger version of James Earl Jones from the 1970s. I didn't even know he was in Doctor Strangelove with Peter Sellers. Wowee! And that's an amazing movie by Stanley Kubrick. If you haven't seen it, you certainly should sit down one day and have a good gaggle, because the amount of impressions that Peter Sellers does in that film, or plays the multiple roles, he's absolutely hilarious. So on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if you were me, and if I were you, you might want to return for the next video and perhaps feel the force.